What's good, y'all? Anderson Emerald here to talk about the NACAC Championships. Just capped off, went down this weekend down in Freeport, Bahamas, and there were some great performances overall. Not too many top athletes were actually competing at NACAC, which is a long-standing kind of like issue and discussion. So today, I just want to quickly dive into, a little bit of background on the NACAC Championships. Also, like why certain athletes found this meet to be very important, but also why there's some issues with this meet overall. And then of course, I want to talk about the results and some of the athletes who actually got some world ranking points that are going to be very important for them to qualify to the World Championships. So first off, NACAC is an area championships. So just like we see the European championships or African championships, like specifically European where they get a lot of spotlight, NACAC is the same level of area championships. And at these meets, athletes are able to accumulate a ton of World Athletics Rankings points. I think it's either the second or third most points that you can get from any meet. So higher than a Diamond League, higher than a Constant, like higher than any of those because it's an area championships. So in 2025, a bunch of athletes came down to the NACAC Championships to secure their spot to Worlds in just about a month's time. And we'll talk about those athletes and the results. But NACAC isn't well represented, and NACAC has been going through so many different issues over recent years in various different capacities. But one thing to think about as to why NACAC really isn't that big is it's very new. Relative to other area championships, NACAC is the absolute newest championship to come into fruition. For example, South American Area Champs, 1918 is when it started. European Champs, 1934. Asian Champs, 1973. African Champs, 1979. Oceania Champs, 1990. NACAC came about in 2007. So you can see that it's literally less than 20 years old at this point relative to all these other championships, some of which are like 100 years old in the case of South American Championships. So many athletes, they unfortunately don't treat NACAC as very important, especially in 2025, where we've seen a few athletes already qualify for the World Champs, whether it's by standard or whatever. Like, they're good, so they don't need to actually come compete at NACAC. Also, the timing of the meet isn't great. We just saw the Silesia Diamond League at the same time. We're going to see the Lausanne Diamond League coming up in a few days. We'll see Brussels in a few days. Like, the timing is a little bit weird for some athletes, the top athletes, to come and compete here. And they're not getting paid to compete at NACAC like they would get paid at a Diamond League, like they would get paid at a Continental Tour or somewhere else, right? So some of those things are really important to keep in mind as to why athletes won't show up at a NACAC championship. Also, NACAC was supposed to be held last year in 2024 in El Salvador, but financial issues, logistical issues, like facilitation, like all kinds of things came about, and that led them to postpone it. And then now it's being hosted in 2025 in Freeport, Bahamas. And the Bahamas already hosted it in 2022, I think it was. So they're not even getting an opportunity for the meet to be able to shuffle around to different countries because a lot of countries either aren't able to host it. NACAC isn't able to support hosting it in a way that would really showcase it being an area championships, again, similar to like a Europeans. Canada has hosted it once before in Toronto. The US has never hosted, Jamaica has never hosted, and even the National Stadium in Nassau, Bahamas, that's never actually held it. So it's never been held as this massive, massive big meet. And I do think that there's a long way to go before top athletes truly start to take NACAC seriously. But let's actually talk about some of the results from the meet because there were some high quality performances and also some athletes in various different events who acquired some world ranking points that are going to allow them to qualify for the World Championships or solidify their qualification for the World Championships. So first off, men's 400, shout out to Karani James from Grenada. He won in 44.48 seconds. He is actually, in my opinion, a medal contender in Tokyo, which is crazy to say considering he won gold at the 2011 World Championships. Yes, he's not running 43 seconds now, but Karani is one of those athletes who is able to peak perfectly, and when he's in form, he should not be stopped. So shout out to Karani James. Now, Rasheen McDonald from Jamaica, he came second place, but he only ran 45 seconds. But he should be safe to go to Worlds because he is in the world rankings quota, even though he doesn't have the world standard. And I spoke about this in my previous video about how certain athletes qualify for the World Championships. Rasheen McDonald should be safe to be able to qualify for the world champs because he won Jamaican trials and he's in the world rankings quota. Also, in the women's 400, shout out to Nikisha Price, winning in 49.95 seconds. She is, consistently rounding into form. Still some ways to go to get back to the sub 49s, but I think she's going to be ready by the time we get to world champs. You also had Wallen Velo from Haiti, now representing Haiti, previously represented the United States. She ran 50.23 seconds. She just actually transferred her allegiance, back to Haiti this year. She was representing the United States, but she was born in Haiti, and she came to the U.S., competed at the University of South Carolina. She was 4th place at the World Championships in 2019, and she's kind of getting back into form. So shout out to Wadlin. Lena Irby-Jackson, 50.47. She finished 4th place at USA Champs. She could get to Worlds by wildcard if either Sydney McLaughlin-Roney, if Isabella Whitaker, if Aaliyah Butler, if any 3 of them actually win the Diamond League final. It's very tough if you have Marley Paulino competing though, but we'll see. Shout out to Lena Irby-Jackson. Women's 100, you have Jodianne Williams. In the heat of the 100, she ran 11 seconds flat, which is a personal best for her, just by 100th of a second, and she was 4th at the Jamaican trials. This is very interesting because at the Diamond League final, Tia Clayton could win that and she would send herself to the World Championships. But imagine that Tina Clayton wins the Diamond League final. Then Jodianne Williams would actually get a spot to the World Championships because she was 4th at Jamaican trials. So that is an interesting thing to keep an eye out for. TT Terry from the United States, she did not make the 100-meter final. She ran 10.33 seconds in the heats. So not sure, you could take that as you will. She didn't make the 100-meter team, unfortunately, for the United States. But in the final, Janelle Smith, she ran 11.05 seconds to take the 100-meter win. It was also interesting for me to see Sade McCreath finish ahead of Audrey Leduc from Canada. Audrey obviously is the national record holder from Canada, while Sade, she broke the national record earlier this year, but Audrey got it back. So just some, back and forth, good competition that they have with those 2 women from Canada. On the men's side, Jerome Blake, also from Canada, having the season of his life, 9.95 seconds to get the win in the 100-meter final. Personal best for him, improving on his previous best of 9.97 from earlier this year. In the 200, he also previously had run 19.95 seconds to win Canadian National Championships. So Jerome Blake is having the season of his life in the 100 meters and 200 leading into the World Championships. He's a sleeper to get into one of those finals, either the 100 or the 200. Second place in the 100 was Raheem Ford, who ran 10.01 seconds. He also was 4th place at the Jamaican trials. If Kashane Thompson, Oblique Seville, or someone else, Akeem Blake, if one of them wins the final at the Diamond League, Raheem Ford, it seems like he may go to the World Championships. So keep an eye out for that. Men's 200, Aaron Brown, 20.27 seconds. He's already going to Worlds. He already has a standard in the 200, but behind him was Christopher Taylor, 20.32 seconds. He doesn't have the World Championship standard. He finished 2nd place to Brian Lavelle at Jamaican trials, but this added more points to his world rankings, which likely means he's in the quota and he's probably going to get a chance to go to the World Championships. That's why this meet, NACAC, was very important. An athlete like Christopher Taylor, he may not get the standard by the time we get to August 24th, but this actually got him a lot more points and further moves up his rank in the standard. So shout out to Chris Taylor. Behind, down in the pack, you had Kadrian Goldson from Jamaica also. He got 3rd place, I think, at Jamaican trials, but he only ran 20.88 seconds here, and currently he's not in the world rankings quota. So it's looking very, very challenging for him to actually get a spot to the World Championships right now, but we'll see. Women's 200, shout out to Anthony Strawn from Bahamas. She ran 22.77. She's in the world rankings quota, even though she doesn't have the standard, so she's likely going to the World Champs. Just coming off the sprints, I do want to shout out that the men's 4x1 had Canada taking the win in 38.05 seconds, which had a team of Aaron Brown, Jerome Blake, Brendan Rodney, and then Eliza Abjibi. Apologize for the pronunciation. So 3 of the 4 guys who are on Canada's 4x1 actually did run here, only Andre on the anchor. And 38.05, I think, is a strong performance, especially considering someone like Brendan Rodney. He hasn't been running very well in 2025, but Canada is a team you can never sleep on. 2nd place was Jamaica, 38.53. Now, they of course didn't have a strong team, quote unquote, the strong team. You had Smith, you had Goldson, you had Ford, you had Christopher Taylor. Like those 4, none of these guys are going to be on the final Jamaican 4x1 team. Maybe Raheem Ford, depending on what actually does transpire, but getting some reps in regardless, I think is a great opportunity for athletes. In the 4x4, Jamaica ran 302.86 seconds to get the win. You had McPherson, you had Zandrian Barnes, you had Delano Kennedy, Rasheen McDonald. Strong performance. Rasheen ran a strong anchor to get the gold medal. But what was interesting is there was no women's 4x1 or women's 4x4. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying that NACAC unfortunately isn't treated as seriously as it should be, considering it's an area championships. Area champs is what it is. A couple other performances. Women's 100-meter hurdles, Amoy Brown. She was third place at Jamaican Trials. She got the win here in 12.83. The men's 400-meter hurdles, CJ Allen got the win in 48.22. He's looking for, either Rai Benjamin, Caleb Dean, or Chris Robinson to win the Diamond League final. He finished fourth at USA, so who knows? Unlikely. Carson said he's already running, so it's going to be tough. But men's 110-meter hurdles, you had Demario Prince. He ran 13.35 to get the win. He was second at Jamaican Trials, already going to Worlds. Second place, Dylan Beard, 13.39. He was third place at US Trials. He's already going to Worlds. Now, Jaheim Stern, he ran 13.63 seconds for third place here at NACAC, but he was fourth place at Jamaican Trials. If Orlando Bennett or if Hansel Parchment win the Diamond League final, then Stern is able to get a spot to the World Champs. It's a long shot, but just to keep in mind there. He already has a standard as well. Now, a couple other highlights in the field, which is where athletes are really picking things up to potentially increase their world rankings. In the men's long jump, you have Nico Ali Williams, apologize for that pronunciation. He jumped 8.16 meters to get the win. He was third place at Jamaican Trials, and he doesn't have the standard, but this may likely increase his standings in the world rankings point to get him into the quota and qualify for the World Championships. Will Williams from the United States, he jumped 7.96 meters here. He doesn't have the standard, but he's safely in the world rankings quota, so he's going to be going to Tokyo. Also, Sean D. Thompson, third place, 7.87 meters, second place at the Jamaican Trials, also does not have the standard similar to Williams from Jamaica, but he also looks to be getting into that world rankings quota, so he should be good. Women's long jump. Alyssa Jones got the win in 6.74 meters. She already has a standard, but she was fourth at USA Championships. Now, if Tara Davis-Woodhall, Clara Bryant, or Quanisha Burks wins the Diamond League final, then Alyssa Jones would get a spot to the World Champs. But Jasmine Moore is also, potentially going to do the long jump at the Diamond League final, potentially. And if she wins, she gets a spot to the World Champs. So that'll be very interesting. Men's triple jump, you had Colmer, you had Hechavarria Salazar, and you had Will Clay. All get 1, 2, 3 respectively, and each of them, Colmer, he has a standard, so he's going to Worlds. Hechavarria Salazar and Will Clay, they're both in the world rankings quota, so they should be safe going to the World Champs. Finally, the women's triple jump, Shanika Ricketts, she got the win in 14.23 meters. She actually has gold medal potential. Like, she has the potential to win the gold medal at the World Championship. So look out for her. You had Andre and Dewall, both of them from the United States. Andre, she's not in the world rankings quota, so I'm not sure if these are going to, increase the points. And Dewall, she was second at USA's, and she is far outside the world rankings quota. And honestly, Jasmine Moore is the only triple jumper from the United States who's going to go to Worlds. It seems like that. But these were just some of the results from the 2025 NACAC Championships. Again, many athletes increase their standings in the world rankings quota and their potential to compete at the World Championships. Some athletes unfortunately didn't do as well, maybe didn't, achieve what they were looking for, but we also saw that many top athletes simply did not compete here because of long-standing issues with NACAC or some of the time of the year, in this end of Diamond League season, like so many different reasons. But let me know what you thought about the NACAC Championships. Link in the description for the full results, which you can check out. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Truly do appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.